Hi everybody, my name is Jessica Holyfield. I'm a professional dancer, professional dance choreographer, and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States. And today, I'm going to be taking a look at the BOYZ lip gloss dance practice, the fixed version. So this is the very first time I am reacting to this group. Pretty excited about it. I love being able to just be exposed to different groups, seeing what they bring to the table, what is their concept, what is something that kind of stands out with them, how do they do their choreography, things like that. So that's really cool. And I'm also excited to discuss kind of some of the things that I see in this routine, and so I'm definitely looking forward to that. So let's go ahead and do the initial reaction. Okay, there's a lot of them. Ooh! That was gimmicky. Fun. I like this song a lot. Never heard it before. Oh, he had a really nice pop. This feels very trendy, but it has some really nice fundamentals in it too. They're very clean, which is very impressive because they're all wearing very different outfits, so it is hard to show yourself as being clean. Okay, let's see the course. Okay. Are they doing a little bit of light feet? That's fun. Hey. Okay. That was a fun choice. I like the framing choices. These are fun. Okay. I will say so far the first verse I think was more intriguing in comparison to verse 2. It could be they cleaned it more, or it's just maybe a different choreographer. I'm not sure. I like that gimmick. That's fun. Impressive that if he has to sing that live, that he has to hold that. That must be a little scary. Trusting people. I love that. Yeah. I like the fact that they're doing the same choreo, but they're choosing features instead of doing everybody at the same time. And they did a different formation as well. So that's definitely super fun. I like this. Yeah. I love how they bounce off their words. This is fun. Hey. Woo! Very different posture here. Nice. Somebody was a hat. I think that's what happened there. Hey. This is really fun. Ooh. Oh man. Fun. They did a little bit of locking in there too. There's a lot of fundamental nuances throughout this, which is really fun. Oh, that was really fun. I loved that. Man, that was really good, guys. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed that. There was so many different moments where it just made it really enjoyable to watch. I saw a little bit of locking, a little bit of light feet in there. Wasn't expecting that. Even a little bit of a waving texture, which is super cool. I'm excited to dive right in. Let's look. So from the top, let me do a quick little head count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 members. Wow. Okay. I will say the more numbers you have, the more you can do in formations, and I think they really did a good job of that, so kudos to the choreographer. I do not know who choreographed this, but they did a fabulous job. I don't know if they did multiple or if it was in-house, or if it was what, but I really liked that. I think the only section that I feel was a bit underwhelming in comparison to the rest of the routine was verse 2, but it was only about half of it. But even then, it was still clean. It was enjoyable to watch. I like the pop there, so you notice that he used his hands and everybody responded with their head, and by kind of just jerking up in the very back of the neck is how you can make that little texture happen. So setting it up. That was fun, just watching how he took his hands, he brought them up, and then he shot them down, and everybody else dropped. So that was a really nice moment. I love the framing here, where you have not everybody, like we have my two that are at 90 degrees, and then everybody else is just a little bit tilted here, and then I believe they're standing up straight. So that's just really nice, because you have these two that are ending up framing this group. I mean, all of them are, but they kind of look like they are a part of it, but they're not really, you know? So I really like that. Oh, okay. It was actually a ripple. So you did 1, 2, 3, the 3 groups, so in the boom, 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 which is nice. Let's hear that. Man, that was really nice. It actually helps you hear all of the different parts of the music whenever you had those guys shoot out their leg and slowly bring it in and hit that ch, you know, which is really nice. That was fun. So I don't believe he was as clean on his arm positions as everybody else was. You know, he kind of folded it out more like a presentation. Everybody else shot it out nice and straight and then brought it back in. But because he's in the center and singing, I think he can get away with that, and I think that's fine. So even here, just the slide, just looking, it's really important to, when you have transitions, you want them to be just as clean as your content. So that's something that I'm noticing with this group already, is whenever they have a clean routine, you're able to see that even the transitions are very clear, and that's something very important, especially when you have a lot of people. That's something that you want to take note of, which I really like. I love that, where you have my feature here, and then you have the kind of the two, like a cannon almost, where you have one group go and then the other group go and they snap down, which is really fun. And they get to do their own little thing, kind of framing away in their respective groups, which is super fun. But I noticed my two over here, great, stop there. But I noticed that these two right here, they kind of did the same thing. So that would be just a note, is that I would have them make different choices just to even in further, you know, we have all these guys framing towards the inside. I think this would have looked a lot better. I'm assuming they're framing towards the inside. These guys look pretty similar. I think one of them should have made a different arm choice just to make it even more direct on what you want. That was really fun, just doing a little heel click there. This right here, step, just nice some step pas de bourrées, but they're doing it kind of like in a house rhythm, where this down, da-da, boom, da-da, but they're adding a little, like a little lift of the leg, which I really like here. That was fun too, is that even as they're transitioning here, it's okay that they're just trying to get to where they need to go, but everybody's on the same page of what their arms are doing, and that makes it look cleaner, instead of everybody just transitioning with the lower half. I'm honestly very surprised that he hasn't slipped. Good chance he may have, because you see how long his pants are. I love them, but you know how kind of like some of these guys, their pants kind of tailor and you see the tail end of their heel. This guy's hands are so big that they're kind of covering the shoe. So sometimes when you do a lot of sliding, or you do a lot of jumping, or a lot of that kind of extroverted movement, I do get really surprised whenever they don't trip, because I would 100%, and I have. Honestly, the outfit I'm wearing now is I would probably trip, so. I love that, boom, da 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 da. Like, that was really nice, where they go out and then I believe they're still mirrored, which is really nice. So it's another way to frame the person that's singing. And that little GD, so that you can hear that whistle really clear, because they kind of enunciated using their hips, pulling it forward, but it wasn't in a sensual way. It was very much, you have to look at their upper body in the context of what they did before and after that move. So a lot of times when you see guys use their hips, sometimes you see it as like a very sensual R&B track. But here, because the song's more upbeat, it does remind me of that kind of, the Joy, a similar vein of Joy, like whenever I hear 17's, Very Nice. They're very different, of course, different people, right? But it just gives off that kind of hey, you know, which I really like, and I think that's why I like that song too. This choreo really makes me enjoy it a lot more. So I believe he's my singer, right? Yeah. I love how he chose to use his shoulders and everybody else uses their hands, and they also use their legs here too. But I would make a note, some of them have their toes up and some of them are fully flat. So my note would be that they just need to clarify if they're actually using their foot here. That was really nice. I can tell he's probably one of my dancers, right? For sure. Like how he hits that, it's very boom, boom. Like he really uses his ribs to kind of help create that groove there. Yeah, so we just have some people that are flat and some with their heel up. Honestly, that's a super minor thing because no one's moving their leg, which is why it's not actually an issue. But it's all the focus is in the upper body. Now here they fold it out. It is important. I love the fact that they're being clear on when they're choosing to kind of glue that elbow down and just enunciate using the forearm and the hand versus the entire arm. That does make a difference in unison choreo, especially if you're wanting to make a certain visual come across. They're doing a lot of mirroring out and in with these diagonals, which when you have the people for it, go for it to your heart's content because it's always so nice and you've covered your stage a lot more and you're still able to see everybody, which is really nice. That was a very typical, you know, like a lot of times when you're just kind of sitting there grooving, listening, you know, when you like can't stop the feeling, you know, like that's just one of those kind of grooves that you just that you vibe with. It's one of those, honestly, it's an older school groove where you have like James Brown kind of aesthetic and it matches really well here. I love what he did there. So he did a really nice pop of the chest. I think he did a bop actually. Let me see. So he did boom, boom. It looked like he was using his hips, like he was doing 2 hits that traveled up the ribs, or traveled up the torso, which I really liked there. And that was just different, and because it's like da-da, like sticky, did it, you know, like that, the kind of tone shift was different, so I think it made that pop out even more, no pun intended, which I really liked there. That is fun. Like that's like, I love seeing really, you know, super trendy things that you notice in just today's day and age with viral and virality. It is nice to kind of see these types of things that are very readable or that you're very familiar with. If you do watch a lot of dancing, consume a lot of social media, you do see these moves. So it feels, it actually is associative where it makes you feel like it's more relatable or it's more familiar to you, which can really help you in retaining the information that you're watching. So that's really fun. And then they kind of add it, make it a little like a very subtle get sturdy, which I think is really fun. Nice smell. I love that. So I think out of a lot of groups that I've reacted to here or that I've just seen growing up just with dance, I really love their choices of whenever they have their feature in some way complements what everybody else is doing and vice versa. So you can tell, like, are these predictable? I mean, kind of. Whenever you know you're reacting to a K-pop group, especially a boy group, you're gonna run into a level of expectation of, okay, I'm expecting to see, you know, these types of formations, these types of peel outs, these types of mirroring, but they are making more interesting choices than I was expecting, which I really like. And I think the song calls for it. Like, I love that where they kind of peeled from one side to the other. I really liked that. Even with the slow. See, again, did you just notice? I don't know why that's just really caught my attention, but it just has. Maybe I had an empathy for when you just wear really long pants. I wonder if he was really conscious of that this whole time. No idea. But yeah, you're just not. Yeah, man, crazy. I love this build up where everybody's kind of facing different directions, which makes it look more dynamic versus if everybody was facing the same way. Like, not everybody on this side is facing the same direction, not everybody's facing that direction. They're all kind of, their torsos are subtly different, and that's what gives you this appearance of this framing looking the way that it is, you know, because even he's going to the inside, but it's still symmetrical, and that's why it looks tasteful. Now, if everybody was just kind of facing whatever direction they wanted, it would look more sporadic, but here it's an organized sporadic. So that's why it's just more pleasing to the eye, is that you have everybody mirrored, but not everybody is facing the same way, or their opposition is different, which I really like. I like the choice he went middle down because he is the singer, so it kind of it was a nice little trigger there too. Here we go, transition. Now this one right here, I know that they're all doing the same thing because this is the very first time that you're seeing the course, and I know the course in choreography in these dances is very important because that's going to be what is promoted in your challenges, right? So this is really fun. I kind of wish they picked up their feet a little bit more here, especially because it was so subtle in that first 4 counts, you know? 2, 3, 4, boom. But I love that, hey, that drag, and the reason why that just feels really nice is that they created tension in that rond de jambe leg. They took it and they drug it around, maybe like a compass star, not sure, but like they drug it and then they created tension in that chest too to kind of make it a little bit slower, and their hands complemented their leg, which looked really nice. And then they did a tone walk twist. Did you see that? That was so fun. I love that. Hey, boom, twist. Yeah, so I would just be wary whenever you do light feet or any truly fundamental technique, and I know light feet has a lot of like trending routines or trending dances has light feet nuances in it. That's a straight tone walk twist. There's no way around that. But like really be mindful. Is it everybody twisting? Let me see. Yeah, so notice that a tone walk twist involves both, but he was only doing one, and then everybody twisted both as well. So I love the usage of light feet here, and then it just feels really good. I would just heed caution whenever you have people near the front. Everybody's gotta hit it the same way. So make sure if both feet are supposed to twist at the heel, but everybody's got to twist both. So that was just a little minor thing that I would encourage him, if, you know, I don't expect anybody to actually, like, who are a part of these to actually watch this, but if they ever come across this, what's up? But also, I would just be mindful of making sure everybody's feet's on the same page. It's a really minor thing, but that'll help us be able to appreciate the effort you've put in to really utilize the style in your set. I like boom, do, like I think I really like that sequence. I kind of wish that the grooving on this was just a tad bit different. Let me see what I would suggest to do differently there. Is that smooth? Yeah, or maybe it's not really that. I guess because it was so clean in the beginning, this doesn't feel as clean with their grooves. So I wish that it was just a little bit cleaner in the direction of how they choose to move their chests. I think that would be my only suggestion there. But I love that. Like, that's really fun. Hey, and that was different. You know, they didn't use the leg, and the leg they used to transition the first time there, it was just a stationary thing, and that's really nice. So, also I want to take a look at this formation here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. I can, like, all of this, I just feel like it's just, oh, there it is. So that works. I just feel that this formation is just a tad bit off. It could be because of where I paused it. Let me see real quick. Yeah, so he's supposed to be mirroring him. Yeah. Okay, so it's either he's supposed to travel a little bit more forward or he traveled too far forward. So that would just be a little cleaning note. Whenever you do dance practices or if they had a performance video, that would be a note. That's fun. I love the and everybody's head shot up. That was really enjoyable. I love this. I can tell my performer right here, he's probably not one of the, like, dancing may not be his top strength. I'm assuming his vocals or other aspects are his top strength. The reason why I can notice that is you just notice that he's really locked up in his torso. He is doing the movement though, which great for him. I love that. And he doesn't stick out for the most part. I would say in these moments, whenever he's in a really small group is when I can really see that. Or if he's featured. But just notice that in comparison to him, let's just look real quick. you know, he's bouncing, he's rocking back, which when you're thinking about light feet, or you're thinking about other styles that they're doing in this locking, we notice later, there's a really big rock presence that helps get those moves to come across as authentically as possible. And there's a rock that's kind of carried here that I really like. He's not really doing it as much, you know, but he's really throwing his body, and that's how you can tell those differences between those who are way more familiar with being comfortable in some of these pockets and textures, and some of them who are trying their best in the pockets, but they may not feel as familiar as other members in a particular group. So none of that was to say that he's doing a bad job. Not at all. Quite the opposite. I'm very impressed with him. But because I'm just sensitive to seeing people whenever they're not really familiar in dancing as their strength, that is something that I just feel is important to kind of cover and note. I think that section right there looked a tad bit marked in comparison to these guys over here. You know, it's like, especially my guy right here, I feel like they could have gotten a little bit bigger. Like, look, 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, they're like really throwing their body there, which I like. But then here, they dribble the ball and then they go drop, drop. Normally, you would have more of a rock there, so I don't know if that was a choreographic choice or what, but I just feel that this side wasn't as big in their movement as my side over here. But it still works because they were clean and they were together, so I think that's totally fine. That was just a choreographic note. Yeah, so here, notice that what he's doing is he's actually twisting the full body over, where a lot of times you want to use your isolation of the ribs and the leaning of the hips over whenever you tap. That's how you get that group. What he's doing is he's twisting the body. So that would be my note. If I was their teacher in some way, I would suggest to really practice not trying to overshoot the twisting of the body, but trying to keep it facing front whenever your groove is a crossover. A lot of times it looks really visually pleasing whenever you have that isolation take place. Yeah, but I also know he's singing there, so whenever a feature happens, I feel like it is absolutely okay for them to do a modification, a marked equivalence, or something modified just to make it match, like gives them the opportunity to actually vocalize, because they are, you know, they should be singers that dance, not dancers that sing, but both are fine. But I know in the K-pop realm, the singing does play a bigger role because the music can be isolated and the dance needs the music, right, in order for it to come across the way you want it to be. And then he threw over there. I think that was just a thing. I love this. This was nice and simple with every other person. That was fun. Okay, so this is, I wish that all of them were facing their face facing the side, just so I could see that visual a little more clear. Yeah, but look, like not all of them are facing the right way. 2, 3, 4, 5. That was really fun. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, this right here, notice that some of them are using their elbow and some of them are actually, because that's a gangsta walk, right? So a lot of times you're supposed to get a little bit lower, and it's a head ISO. So that would be my note here, is that I know they're doing it just for fun, you know, but if I'm looking at it from a cleanliness standpoint, I feel like they could, some of them are really looking like they're dabbing, right, instead of actually doing the gangsta walk. So my note is to kind of minimize the elbow and make more usage of the head. I love that. Boom, boom. That's just fun. This just feels like a party, and I love it. I love that, where he started high and they started low. I love that. Oh, and I love that they join in facing the back first and then join from the front. Yeah, and I love that. Boom, boom. So how you do that is you have to place your weight more on your standing leg and then use the bounce of the standing leg to get that drag across the way that you want to. And then they're letting their toes kind of determine the direction there, but the heel, they want to keep it flexed as that bounce takes place, because if you point, it's going to look a little different. It's going to look more like a fine line drawing, but if you have it flexed or the whole foot on the ground, that's where you get that glide illusion, which is what they just did. I love that. Bona, donna, donna, da. And so look, they framed out again, which I think are always really nice choices. When you have the numbers for it, take advantage of it. And they definitely did, like I've mentioned. I love it. And what he did is he touched and triggered them to turn, but it's not like your major focal point, because you still have my outside people up. So if they lower, or like what's happening there, they create a different frame, which they prep, But they did a good job. I see why they made that choice, because if everybody went down, you'd be able to see this prep a lot more clearly. But because they had everybody up, you had more people not distracting from this prep here. And I really liked their choice here. So that was good job on the choreographer. I think this is just cleaning this up just a tad bit. Some of them are a little late and everybody's already in that position. Yeah. So whenever you're doing any sort of angles, I always suggest just making sure that everybody starts and finishes at the same time, but also how fast or what kind of tension do you want as you branch out and then come back in. That's always something that, just like whenever we pause it, it should look just as clean and everybody's on the same page. Like I said, I'm very impressed whenever there's these lifts of any kind. It is always impressive if a singer is able to sing this live and it not be faltered based on what's happening here. So I really like that. Yeah, I love them too going out and in, and so it was a smart choice for them to drop so you can actually see this lift in a more framed way, but then still have people up here so you can see how high it's elevated. It actually meets all the requirements of your levels, and it's really nice to have as many levels as possible as you're watching stuff, because it's just more visually pleasing and there's just more for your eye to absorb, and I love that. I love this peel going from the center back. I love that. And they're still up and he started down and they drop. And I love how that's how they got their people who lifted back in with the rest of the group. And then we have our feature again, which I just think there's really smart choices in how they get their features presented. It's not too much, but it's also not overly simplistic. Everybody's facing the back except for so he goes back and then he's the only one that turns and then everybody turns. I love that. And he wasn't turned to face the back, but he took longer to stand up just so you could really focus on who you needed to, you know, which I really love. And I love these peels that are happening too. I love that doon, 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 doon. And then I love this moment. And it's just something so simple, but it just works. And it makes this course different. Even though the choreography is the same, the formation and just having one person do it, it matches just the reset of the course with bump, 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 you know, versus what we just heard in that build-up. I love it. Yeah, and I love that he did the choreo and then he did his own thing and then they joined in on the choreo and they went, hey, their own choice. And then he got to do the choreo while they still melt. And then pop, all different. And then from here, they reset a different formation, different feature here. Fun. I think that's just my same note. I'm going to say here that what I tackled the first time is just clarifying the hands here. If you want everybody to do the same thing, it doesn't look like that it's an artist choice, or I feel like in that moment it shouldn't be an artist choice based on everybody facing the same direction, doing the exact same groove. I feel like not enough people are making different decisions, if that makes sense, which is why I don't feel like it's an artist choice thing. So my suggestion for that section would be just making sure everybody's torsos and angles are the same, because some people are facing diagonal, some are facing more front, some are over hunching, and some are facing directly side. Those little things are what doesn't make this look as clean, because arm placements are affected by their torso alignment. So that's my big thing here. I would assume to kind of match what your feature's doing, or be very clear on what you're doing. You know, hey, and that affected, notice, it affected that hey as well. Look, not everybody's angle. Some people were picking up their feet, some people were overshooting, you know. So whenever you're doing this is different than like a quick turnaround time of choreography like SWF or SMF. This is a, you know, dance practice, of course, but we know that the quality has gone up, and so people have a natural more expectation on the cleanliness of this, especially a lot of groups like to replicate this. So honestly, I think there's always grace for these types of things. I would say if I were to see these types of mistakes in the music video, that would be a huge note for me to give them as a group. It's just a really very slight directional nuances, because not everybody is at the same level with dancing. So you have to factor that in to overcompensate for that. Nice. I like this, having my two people come to the front and then they kind of use the groove of the body roll to go towards the back. But a little wink was funny. Love that. Like da da wah, da da, like that little groove too. So that's just my overall note with the grooves is what I've already mentioned. I don't want to feel like I'm beating a dead horse on that, but I noticed it there. This was so fun. I love this. I wish, you know, if all of them are supposed to look, I wish they all looked, because that just really goes, ooh, ooh. But this, I thought that was okay with their arm choices, because you saw that so many different people deviated and did their own little thing, which is why that was okay. But the commonality was the legs were all doing the same thing. That was fun. I love that, dun, 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 ta, ta. Like that felt very militant, like what you see from Janet, you know, or Michael Jackson, just having that dun, 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 like having that sense of sharpness. I love that moment there. Okay, let's see this breakdown. Love that. Okay, so they're actually doing a slight crump posture here, because they picked up their leg. Now, are they doing it with a true crump posture? No, but I think they're doing a sequence that you could see in crump. That's how I'll word it. So they shoot out and they go around. That's kind of like a side jab, but it was a little too soft to really call it a jab. And then they go around with their leg, like a, yeah. And then look, and he also throws. So I really feel like they're paying some nuance to it, you know. But I would say that it's, and then pull through with the kick, with kind of, yeah, like with the kick of the leg, with the jump. That jump was awesome. I love that boom, boom. That's always a preference of mine too. Whenever you're hearing multiple basses, it's really nice to explore what your legs can do with it, not just your arms. So I think that was a great choice on his part. This part I think is a little bit more gracious in the sense of if it's not as clean, because you're dealing with a dance breakdown, and when you're dealing with a raw style like crump, or even paying nuance to it, in my brain, it programs for there to be a little bit more grace in the authenticity, because whenever you're doing crump authentically, it is really difficult to get everybody on the same page unless everybody crumps. So that's why I think, like, for me, I view this in a naturally more gracious setting compared to the other things that we've already encountered in this analysis. Nice smell. I love this, where you have like my 3 and my 3, and then I have my 2 here, my 1 here, and then my 2 features. I really like just having the variety here. And then he's facing the back, which is really fun. Yeah, and I love that hey. In that hey, they kind of, in reference to the first course, brought it back around here. And they're just kind of melting. Pop. And I love this, the sequence here. And I did like a really slight, it was like, I don't even call it a borracho, but that hey. So when you're doing any sense of letting, okay, so whenever you're using a hand to trigger an effect from another part of the body, it is very important that the arm matches the same degree in which your hand is kind of melting between the two points, right? So I would assume this is like a very legato, waving oriented move, and it matches the music fabulously. So I love this choice, but it's just my note for all of them. Notice some of them are kind of levitating parallel, and some of them are actually using the wrist, and some are using more of the fingers. So that would be something to clean as well. Transition. This was a fun little visual. This was fun. This reminds me of what is it? Squid Games with the hiding and then looking to see if anybody's moving, right? I wonder if they were doing that. This is super fun. And then he turns, and then there's a feature. Yeah, I have no notes for this. I think this is my favorite part of the whole thing. It was really fun. I would say maybe, you know, I guess because it's a dance practice, they're not like being super still here. I think they're just enjoying it because he found humor in that. That was really fun. I'm going to be honest, I really like dance practices more than music videos because firstly, I'm able to see everything. Secondly, you're able to kind of see them in their natural element, in the sense of like, if somebody makes a mistake and they just have to go with it, you can kind of see that, and it makes them look more human, and I love that. It feels like they're dancing, you know? It just feels more authentic to me, just seeing the group. I love that. Breakaway. I really love that. Their cheers. Yeah, this is fun. 2, 3, 4. So they did kind of a muscle man, and they kind of brought it around, and they did some wrist rolls and some switches. I think it's similar, not like it wasn't a Scooby-Doo there, but just doing a locking posture is very different than crump, very different than light feet, very different than other styles. And so I thought that was really interesting choice that they brought there. I really liked his posture. I would say they could have locked their positions a little bit better there, but I think they did a pretty good job with that nuance, because I was able to see it very clearly, which means that they did a good job. And then notice that they have these, you know, it's talking about lip gloss, that's the name of the song, right? But they carry the nuances throughout the whole piece, and that's a really good job on the choreographer's part, because that's what you want, is you want the focal point, or that kind of thing that you want people to notice, that needs to carry throughout the whole song. And I think the choreography did really well there. I think this looks like this is supposed to, everybody's supposed to look the same. So that's just some of them have their elbow a little too far back. Well, now that I see it, their arms are out, theirs is back. So maybe it's a choreographic choice. I'm going to leave it at that, because everybody in this line is doing the same angle. So yeah, so I'll just leave it at that. It's fun. Lip gloss, that was fun. Awesome, man, that was wonderful. I'm glad I got a chance to react to this. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this was helpful in some way. Once again, this was my very first look at the boys, and I am definitely looking forward to seeing what they do in the future. And if you guys have any recommendations on if there's anything that this group has done that you feel like really showcases who they are outside of this routine, I would love those recommendations. Yeah, so I will check you guys later. Bye.